Shalom, family. Shalom, shalom, shalom. Give it a couple of seconds. Got some people to add on. Hope everybody's doing good. Hope everybody's morning is good. All praise to the Most High. Just give me a few seconds, family, for those that are on. While you guys wait, this is the new YouTube channel. There will be updates, new videos. There will be street teaching videos coming soon. By this Sabbath, we will have street teaching videos. So please like, subscribe, hit the bell, because there will be a lot of different content. All right, family. So give me a second so I can go ahead and add a couple of brothers and sisters on here. One second, family. Got to add a couple of brothers and sisters that wanted to tune in from Facebook. Got a message for y'all today. Let's see. And one more person. Shalom. All right. All right. All right. So we in there. Let me get my charger so Satan doesn't interrupt the live, and then we'll go ahead and get into it. All right. So the reason why I'm doing this video, this live, I like to do my classes live. That way you get a real time reaction, kind of feel it in the spirit. The reason why I'm doing this live is because, as we all know, there's a lot going on with the so-called coronavirus situation. All right. Shalom, big bro. There's a lot going on with the coronavirus situation. So in the spirit of Mashiach, Shalom, Justin, in the spirit of Mashiach, brother's been calling me and we've been talking about it. And to be honest with you, wasn't really taking it too serious, you know what I'm saying, as far as the actual virus aspect of it. But I noticed how Esau is talking about shutting things down, having curfews and things like that. So I started actually thinking about it, and I'm like, Lord, you know, what is your reasoning for actually causing this to actually happen? You understand? Because we know that nothing happens without the will of the Mashiach, all right? Yahweh Shai, his father, Yahweh. So I started to actually think about it, and I started meditating about it, and I started to actually piece together the relevance of it happening actually in this time. What is the odds that the Passover is right around the corner and these things are actually happening, right? So the Most High actually showed me something, and I want you guys to pay attention to it because it is a warning to Israel. This is definitely a warning to Israel that we definitely need to get it together. It is not time for games, or anything like that. Even though this might be a practice run for Esau or what have you, it's definitely not time for any games, right? So the first thing I want to do is I want you guys to understand this, right? The spirit of the coronavirus and the spirit of Passover. Why is there a connection between these two things, right? Why is there a connection between the corona and a Passover, right? First, let's get this. Let's go to Revelations 11 and 8. All right, start off with that. So Revelations 11 and 8 says, and I want you guys to really pay attention to this, like for real, because this is very important. You'll see by the end of this class or this lesson that it is very important that we pay attention to the signs that we're in and the times that we're in. All right. It is no joke. Whoever this video finds, right, on this new YouTube channel and reaches on this new YouTube channel, I hope that it edifies you and it helps you in your walk, right? So it says, and their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified. So we know that this place is spiritually recognized as spiritual Edom and spiritual Sodom, okay? Because of all of the fornication that Sodom and Egypt did, all of the idol worship that Sodom and Egypt did, and of course, us going into captivity under the Egyptians. Now, why is it actually important to understand that America is spiritually called Sodom? Well, when you understand that America is spiritually called Sodom, right, you understand that there are some spiritual traits that come along with America, all right, that are like Egypt, right? And you see that there's a lot of parallels, right? So just understanding that, and you understand, Shalom King, Shalom to all the brothers and sisters, whoever this video may find, all praise to the Most High God. We understand that Sodom, right, and Egypt are, I mean, in America, and Egypt and America are connected. Now you'll begin to see the connection. Now, how is it connected with Passover? Well, this is connected with Passover because where did we keep our first Passover? We kept our first Passover in Egypt. I want you guys to follow me because this is very important, right? We kept our first Passover in Egypt, which is also another cut to those that say we only can keep the feast days in Jerusalem because we kept Passover for about 40 years before we actually went into Jerusalem. Okay, just to add you, just to let you know that one, right? Shalom family, love all of y'all. Please pay attention to this. Please pay attention to this, right? Um, so so now we understand that. We understand that Egypt is related to America spiritually. Okay, spiritually. So now let's go from there and let's go to Jeremiah 23 and 7, right? This is a warning to Israel too. Um, you'll see. Let's establish this first. Jeremiah 23 and 7. Okay, so pay attention to this, right? It says, Jeremiah chapter 23, verse 7, therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that they shall no more say, right, the Lord liveth, which brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt, right? Because we know Egypt, Shalom family, love all my brothers and sisters. Robbie, I see you, Shalom sis. We know that Egypt, right, is from Revelations, excuse me, 11 and 8. We know that Egypt and America are synonymous, and now we see they have another thing in common. We see that the Most High compares our deliverance, right, our deliverance from America. He compares that to us being delivered in Egypt, right? I'm gonna show you. It says, therefore, behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that they shall no more say, the Lord liveth, which brought up the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt. But the Lord liveth, which brought up and which led the seed of the house of Israel out of the north country. and from all the countries whither I had driven them, and they shall dwell in their own land. So now we see that the same way the Lord delivered us out of the hand of the Egyptians is the same way he's going to deliver us out of the hand of our captors in the whole entire world. You understand? He's going to deliver us from the hand of our captors, right? In the world, it's going to be a worldwide deliverance. It's going to be so spectacular that no more we're going to talk about how we got delivered from Egypt, which was a big deal because what was Egypt at the time? Egypt was a superpower. Egypt was a powerful nation, similar to how America is a powerful nation. So it says that we're going to be delivered, right? We're going to be delivered out of all of the countries, out of every, similar to how we were delivered from Egypt. But it's going to be a mass exodus. It's going to be Israelites from the whole world. You understand? So knowing that, we have to understand this. We have to understand a little bit of history of what happened before we got delivered from Egypt. And then you'll see how this whole coronavirus thing is playing into Passover, which Passover is sundown April 6th. Okay. And I got to tell you, a lot of brothers kept Passover wrong. And I love brothers, no disrespect to my brothers, but we'll touch on that too a little bit. A lot of Israel kept Passover wrong. And we got to fix that, Israel. As a nation, we got to start sitting down because you'll begin to see how important these feasts are in the scriptures. These feasts are not just some whatever regular, oh, we just keep it the best way we can, or you know what, we can't keep it, so it's okay, we couldn't keep it this year, or we just blatantly keeping it wrong. This is important. The Passover is very, very important. And if you're keeping it wrong, and if you're not keeping it at all, then you're in trouble and you are not covered. Because I see a lot of Israelites saying, oh, the Most High got us. The Most High got us. But no, the Most High does not have you if we are not keeping these commandments right. And this is why I'm telling you that this coronavirus situation is making it an even realer situation to really keep the laws of the Most High God. Now, watch this. So we see that, right? So let's go to Isaiah 43 and 5. Give me Isaiah. I'm going to get Isaiah 43 and 5. Follow me, family. This is very important. Follow me, right? This is for all Israel, starting over, make sure you brothers and sisters, if you haven't subscribed, share, like the video, please. Shalom, family. Now watch this. Isaiah, let's get some scholarship now. Isaiah 43 and 5, right? So it says, fear not. For I am with thee. I will bring thy seed from the east and gather thee from the west. I will say to the north, give up, to the south, keep not back. Bring my sons from far and my daughters from the ends of the earth. So this is when we will be delivered. All praises to Mashiach Yahushai. But in order for us to be delivered, look, you're not delivered if you just say, I just wear fringes, or I know I'm an Israelite, so I'm in the truth. The Most High is going to deliver me. No, that does not mean you're delivered. No one is saved yet. Let me just put that out there, right? No one is saved yet. Okay? No one is saved yet. So you got to take your salvation very seriously. This is not a game. And you'll see through the scriptures and through the power of Mashiach Yahushua that this is not a game. No one is saved yet. No one has had the Most High stamp them as saved, right? And if you are one of those few that are saved, you don't know it. So you better make sure and be on the safe side and really keep what the scriptures say, keep correctly, because you'll see, right? This whole coronavirus and this pandemic that's going on is in the spirit of Passover. The spirit of Passover, we had to eat the Passover. You'll see, we had to eat the Passover in haste. It was a lot going on. We had to flee from our enemies, right? It was a death angel that was about to come over the land, right? And you'll see that similar to this coronavirus, it gets people sick. It's supposed to be a deadly virus and all of this stuff. And then another thing that you got to understand in the spirit is that the coronavirus is not only did brothers keep the Passover wrong, right? And I love brothers, but I got to tell the truth. Brothers kept the Passover wrong. But not only that, but this coronavirus situation is also hindering brothers from keeping Passover. Either there's no more lamb, or there's complications getting the lamb, or now your venue, you can't be there anymore. You know what I'm saying? Due to the coronavirus, they're shutting down your Passover venue. That and the third, brothers are fearful. A lot of Israelite brothers are fearful. So some brothers, from what I've heard, is literally not even going to keep Passover because they're afraid of the coronavirus. So you got to look in the spirit, and you got to see that this whole coronavirus situation is bigger than the coronavirus. It's keeping brothers from keeping the Passover. So now you got to look in the spirit, and you got to ask yourself, well, Lord, why is this happening? Why is this keeping brothers from rehearsing the righteous acts, from keeping Passover, right? We'll see that. Let's get watch this. Let's show you how serious this situation is. Let's go to Exodus 12 and 1. This is crazy. So not only did brothers keep Passover wrong, but now we have brothers justifying not keeping it because of fear of the coronavirus, or brothers have hang-ups and hiccups trying to keep the Passover. So pray to the Most High that he delivers you and you're able to keep his days. So let's read Exodus 12, and I'm going to read verse 1. It says, "And the Lord spake unto Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, This month shall be unto you the beginning of months. It shall be the first month of the year to you." So a lot of brothers kept Passover wrong because we're not in our first month yet. We'll get into that understanding a little later. Remember, the scripture says we have to keep it in its season, okay? We have to keep the feast in its proper season. Brothers kept Passover in winter, okay? It was not spring. Spring doesn't come in until the 19th, March 19th, I believe, at even, right? This is when the equinox comes. The equinox lets you know that it is springtime. And then that following new moon, which is on the 23rd at sundown, that is the first new moon of the year. You count 15 days from there, and then you get the 6th, okay, at sundown. So brothers did not keep it right. Okay, remember, it has to be in its season. Spring is the beginning of our season, not winter. And I know it's kind of different. We in LA, so I know in LA it's different in certain places, because in LA we don't see the seasons like that. So it's easy for brothers to try to justify, well, we are in the season. No, we're literally not in the spring season yet. Okay, spring equinox hasn't come in yet. But let's keep reading. It says, "Speak ye unto all the congregation of Israel, saying, In the 10th day of the month they shall take to them every man a lamb according to the house of their fathers." So this is important. We must have our lamb, right? According to the house of the fathers, a lamb for an house. "And if the house be too little for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next unto his house take it according to the number of the souls. Every man according to his eating shall make your count for the lamb. Your lamb shall be without blemish, a male of the first year. You shall take it out from the sheep or from the goat." So you can have a goat or you can have a lamb. So let's skip a little bit. It says, verse 6, I'll read verse 6. "And ye shall keep it up until the 14th day of the same month. And the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it in the evening. And they shall take of the," now this is the important part, all right? And it says, "And they shall take of the blood and strike it on the two side posts and the upper door post of the house wherein they shall eat it." So this was important because they had to take the blood, and the blood is what saves you, right, from the death angel. The blood is what saves you from the death angel. So now, understanding that the blood is what saves you from the death angel, right? Hold on. I'm seeing your questions. I'm just kind of reading your question a little bit. Oh, okay. Sister, just to answer your question real quick, sis, they're probably under their calculations, if they kept it on that date. Remember, for those that were not able to keep Passover, there's a second Passover, right? The Most High, like for instance, if you were unclean, Scripture says, if you just not trying to touch on it too long because I want to get to the lesson, but the Scripture says if you're unclean by reason of a dead body, or what have you, if a woman is on her menstrual, if you couldn't keep it because you were too far, what have you, or you had some complications, there's also a second Passover that you will keep in the second month. So it just so happened that it falls on the fourth April 6th, which is also spiritual because I hope a lot of brothers keep it on that day because that's actually the right day. You understand? That's actually the right day. So that's probably why you're seeing two Passovers, okay? But nonetheless, the blood is important because that is what saved you from the death angel. What was the blood, right? You had to take the blood, you had to put it right. Now let's skip and let's read verse 21. Okay. Uh yeah, verse 21. Let's see. Yep. I'm gonna read Exodus 12 and 21. Then Moses called for all the elders of Israel and said unto them, draw out and take you a lamb according to your families, and kill the Passover. And ye shall take a bunch of hyssop and dip it in the blood that is in the basin, and strike the lintel and the two side posts with the blood that is in the basin. And none of you shall go out at the door of his house until the morning. For the Lord will pass through to smite the Egyptians. And when he seeth the blood upon the lintel and on the two side posts, the Lord will pass over the door and will not suffer the destroyer to come in unto your houses to smite you. So what is this talking about? This is dealing with the blood is what sealed us at the time of us being in Egypt so that the death angel will pass over us. Now, why is that important today? Because what is the blood representing? The blood is representing a seal. It is sealing the elect to protect us from the coming evils to come upon this earth. Now, if you happen not to do this or you did it wrong, the Most High would have destroyed you along with the Egyptians, right? So this is where it becomes important because you don't want to be destroyed based off keeping the feast wrong. And I'm going to show you how the feast is very important to protect us from these plagues. The Passover, especially this, when you see this and you look at, dang, it's like the spirit is trying to keep brothers from keeping Passover. And you got to realize, like, hold on, it must be the Most High is telling us something in the spirit because he's testing us now. So now we have to do Passover even more now. The Passover is always important, but now you really got to make sure that you're keeping it correctly. Why? Because of this, right? So the blood acts as our protection. It is sealed. We are sealed by the blood. So why is that important? Now, let's get Exodus 9 because it's something. So we're going to read Ezekiel chapter 9 and we're going to read verse 4. Okay, check this out. The Passover at the time when we were in the Exodus, America is now modern day Egypt, right? We kept our first Passover in Egypt. We had to eat of the lamb. We had to use the blood, right? We had to take the blood, put on. So how do you put the blood on you now? How will you seal with the blood now? Well, we're going to see that. But first, I want you to understand the healing process, right? Because there's something that's going on in the spirit when you keep these feast days, right? When you keep the Passover. Watch this. It says, and the Lord said unto him, go through the midst of the city, through the midst of Jerusalem, and set a mark upon the forehead of the man that sigh and that cry for all the abominations that be done in the midst thereof. And to the others he said in my hearing, go after him through the city and smite. Let not your eyes spare, neither have pity. So the Most High said, go. Watch this, because I'm connecting all of this. I'm like, okay, hold on. Let me think about this. So I'm looking at Passover. I'm looking at the spirit of Passover. I'm looking at the spirit now with the whole coronavirus situation. I'm seeing how there's like a press for time and how there's a real importance to really get your Passover together to be able to keep it, right? I'm seeing that certain brothers are saying we can't this year, we can't keep it because of certain complications dealing with the coronavirus. And to me, that's not a coincidence. I'm saying, well, whoa, that's Satan keeping us from trying to keep us, but there's always a way out. But if you don't keep the Passover in its correct season and in its correct time, and you were able and you had the means to do so, right? But you just failed to do so because of a lack of trying, an excuse. Well, that means that you're not sealed by that blood that's supposed to be put on your doorpost. Well, now we're getting Ezekiel and we're seeing, okay, wait, how were you sealed? We see that you're sealed in the spirit, right? We see that the angel went through and he sealed the righteous, and those that were not sealed, he said he smite them. He says, verse 5, let not your eyes spare, neither have ye pity. Verse 6, slay utterly old and young, both maids and little children and women, but come not near any man upon whom is the mark, and begin at my sanctuary. So we know that the Most High is going to begin at the sanctuary of the Lord. He's going to begin with us. So now brothers really have to be careful, because if you're not keeping the Passover, right, then according to the scriptures, you're not covered. Look at the spirit. Look at the spirit. And I say this in all humility, brothers. Look at the Passover. Why is that? Dealing with this coronavirus. Okay. Hold on 1 second. Sorry, brothers and sisters. Satan is trying to stop this connection. Went out for a little bit. So there's a spirit trying to keep brothers from keeping the Passover, right? Passover is how you mark yourself. Now you see, if you're not marked, it says, verse 6, slay utterly old and young, both maids and little children and women, but come not near any man upon whom the mark is the mark, and begin at my sanctuary. Then they begin at the ancient men which were before the house. So now we're starting to see, right? We're in Ezekiel chapter 9, verse 4 through 6. So now we're beginning to see that we're sealed, right? There's a spirit, there's a seal that is put on the righteous in Israel, right? We see that the blood acts as a seal in Passover, and we see that there's an entity trying not to keep you, trying to keep you from keeping the Passover and sealing yourself under the Passover, right? This whole coronavirus situation, just like in the time of Egypt. Watch the connection now. So now somebody might be like, okay, I see that, but let me solidify that the feast days are what seal you. And this is very important. This is dealing with sealing now in the spirit. How are you sealed as being the elect, as talked about in Ezekiel 8 and 4? Pay attention to this, right? So 2nd Ezra chapter 2, verse, I'm going to start at verse 38. I'm going to read all the way down to verse 42. Watch this. It says, Ezekiel, I'm sorry, 2nd Ezra's, excuse me. I read Ezekiel already. I'm going to 2nd Ezra's chapter 2, verse 38 through 42. Let's read verse 38. Arise up and stand. Behold the number, watch this. Behold the number of those that be sealed. We just read in Ezekiel that the angel went with his inkhorn to seal the righteous, right, from the coming judgment. We read in Exodus how the Passover lamb was acting as a shield, right, or a seal on the doorpost, so the angel would not destroy us. And now watch what we say here. Arise up and stand. Behold the number of those that be sealed in the feast of the Lord. Wow. So we are sealed in the feast of the Lord. No wonder why brothers keep feast days wrong. Why brothers saying right now in this present time, we're not, oh, we can't keep it. We can't keep the feast days. Oh, we can't keep Passover. If you do not keep this feast day, you are not sealed in the Lord. You are not sealed in the Lord. That's why this is very important, because if you're not sealed in the Lord, then you're not protected from the upcoming pestilence and all the things that are about to happen on this land, which means that the Lord is not going to have that protection over you. This is why the spirit of the coronavirus and the spirit of Passover are connected, because the Lord is using this coronavirus to test Israel, to see if Israel is going to keep the Lord's feast. We have to keep the Lord's feast. This is how we're sealed. It is imperative that we do, because watch this. In the feast of the Lord, right? Now watch what it says, because keeping the feast days is also compared to keeping the law, right? So you can say, well, I'm keeping the law. I might have missed the feast days, but I'm keeping the law. No, because keeping the feast days are just as important as keeping the law. because the feast days are what seal you. This is why you got to be careful with brothers that are not keeping the feast days correctly. And you got to watch out for that spirit that's trying to keep brothers. I'm literally telling you, it's a spirit that's trying to keep brothers from keeping Passover. Literally, brother, it's been a whole bunch of stuff on Facebook. This is not a coincidence. Oh, you know what? We're not able to keep it. We're not going to be able to keep it. Man, that is no. You cannot let that be. You have to keep this Passover. Even more so now that things are going crazy, because in the wilderness we had to keep it. We got to keep these feast days, right? Because we're sealed in the feast. Now watch this, which verse 39, which are departed from the shadow of the world. Watch. So keeping the feast days lets you know that you're departed from the shadow of the world. Watch this. And have received glorious garments of the Lord. So it says you receive glorious garments of the Lord, right? Take thy number, O Zion, and shut up those of thine that are clothed in white, which have fulfilled the law of the Lord. The number of thy children, whom thou longest for, is fulfilled. Beseech the power of the Lord, that thy people, which have been called from the beginning, may be hallowed. Now, the feast days, if you keep them correctly and if you keep them, is synonymous with you being called from the beginning. So you are sealed. Those that are keeping the feast days correctly, they are the ones that are sealed, right? Not saying that we know exactly, because anybody can lose their salvation at any moment, but a big indicator is the feast days. This is why this whole spirit of the coronavirus is happening at this time, to try to keep brothers from keeping their Passover correctly. This is why there's such a big discrepancy in Israel in the feast days, because the feast days play an important role on letting you know if you're the 2/3 or not. So don't take these feast days lightly, and don't let the coronavirus stop you from keeping the Lord's Passover, because this is very important. We have to keep it even more now. You let the coronavirus make you keep the Passover correctly even more now. You try and you ask the Most High to give you mercy to be able to keep this thing. Because, like I told you, it's a spirit going around right now that's keeping us. And the reason why it's doing that is because if you do not keep these feasts, then you are not sealed with that protection. I'm going to read verse 38 again. Arise and stand. Behold, the number of those that be sealed in the feast of the Lord. We just read Ezekiel 9:4-6, that says, if those that are not sealed, go slay them. And now we see that the feast days are what seal us, along with keeping the commandments. So if you got any brothers that's telling you you ain't got to keep the feast days in captivity, run far away from them brothers. Run, get the hell out of there. Get the hell out of there. Like fast. Quick, fast, in a hurry. If you got any brother that's telling you you ain't got to keep the feast days and you ain't got to keep the law, get the hell up out of there. Tell that brother to get away from you. Tell that brother to get away from you. And all the brothers that are keeping these feast days incorrectly, I pray for you and I love you. And I hope that you can hit me up and we can have conversations about it, because that's what we have to do to be able to grow. I want to have these conversations with my nation, right? But nonetheless, run from those that are telling you not to keep especially in this time. If you want to be protected of the Most High, you better run and keep these feast days and run from those that's saying not to, right? Now, let's watch this. Now, why is the Passover very important, right? Because we see that all the feast days are what seal us. Got to keep the feast days. Do not let Corona stop you from keeping these days, right? So then let's go watch this. 1 Corinthians 5:7. It is all connected. Everything is connected. The Passover, it's all in the spirit. Look at the spirit of things. The Most High is moving. Just look at the atmosphere and the way things are going in the world. The Most High is speaking. We have to listen. And what I see through the spirit of the Mashiach and through the commandments and through the law and through the wisdom and understanding of his scriptures, I see that he's saying, I want to see who are my real true believers in the time of disparity. So in the time of disparity, who are my elect? Who are going to be sealed in the feast? Who are not going to let disparity keep them from keeping the feast days and keep them from not being filled in the or sealed in the Lord? See that? That's why this is important. And this is a warning to all. This is a warning. If you're not keeping these feast days right, and if you're letting tribulation keep you from keeping these feast days, you don't have your seal of protection. Right? Now let's watch this. Why is it important? All right. Why is this important? Let's go to 1 Corinthians 5 and 7. Because we all believe in the Mashiach. Now check this out. 1 Corinthians. Watch this, family. Please pay attention to this. Please, I beg you, because I love Israel. I love you guys. And I don't want to see anybody perish. And I'm keeping my Passover because I understand that I have to get the protection of the Most High. Please, I understand something. Watch this. 1 Corinthians chapter 5, verse 7. We got to remember this. Purge out therefore the old leaven, right? That ye may be a new lump, as ye are unleavened, right? So now the Passover is a spiritual understanding behind the Passover, because now Yahweh Shai, watch this, for even Yahweh Shai, our Passover is sacrificed for us. Yahweh Shai is now the Passover. So now watch how the Spirit works. Watch how the Spirit works, man. Watch this. Do you notice that everybody that does not believe in the Mashiach Yahweh Shai, all the non-Masonics, all the ones that criticize Yahweh Shai, all the ones that say Yahweh Shai is a false prophet, all the OT Israelites out there, which I don't even want to call you OT Israelites, because if you don't follow Yahweh Shai, you ain't following the Old Testament, point in case, why they never keep the feast days. Do y'all notice that? All of you OT Israelites out there, you never keep the feast days. Because in order for you to keep the Passover, all of you so-called OT Israelites out there, you would need to sacrifice your lamb, because you're not covered under the blood of Yahweh Shai. So, and according to the law, or even give your daily oblations according to the law, because we do not have our temple according to Daniel chapter 9. The oblations have ceased. So now, with that being said, look at the Spirit. If you denounce Yahweh Shai, naturally in the Spirit, you are not sealed under the feast, because you cannot keep Passover correctly. Because Yahweh Shai, how do you keep the Passover? Well, we understand that we eat of the lamb, but Yahweh Shai now is our covering, because he is our lamb. And we rehearse the righteous acts with the lamb in understanding that he is our Passover. But notice, if you do not have the Mashiach, a lot of these OT Israelites, they do not keep the feast days. And we just read in 2 Ezra chapter 2, verse 38, that the feast days is what seal you, along with the law, along with Yahweh Shai. These three attributes complete each other. Yahweh Shai, the feast, and the law, they all complete each other. If you keep the feast correctly in its season, in its time, and if you keep the law, then 9 times out of 10, you really full-heartedly accept Yahweh Shai, and you are sealed under Yahweh Shai and under his blood. Check the spiritual connections to all of this. And if you don't do it, you're not covered under Yahweh Shai, who is our lamb. For even Christ, our Passover, is sacrificed for us. Now, watch this. Revelations chapter 5, verse 8. Watch this. So there is a spirit out there that is trying to keep brothers and sisters from keeping these laws, statutes, and commandments. Watch this. Revelations 5 and 8. It says, and when he had taken the book, watch this. And when he had taken the book, the 4 beasts and the 24 elders fell down before the Lamb. Now, who is the Lamb? We just read it in Corinthians. Yahweh Shai is the Lamb, right? Having every one of them harps and golden veils full of odors, which are the prayers of the saints. So the Lamb was worthy, right, to open the book. And watch this. We're going to read verse 9. It says, and they sung a new song, saying, thou art worthy to take the book and to open the seals thereof. Now watch this. The Lamb is worthy to open the seals, right? So the Lamb is dealing with those that are sealed, and he's dealing, remember, this is spiritual. That's why I brought out Ezekiel. Those that are sealed with the inkhorn the angel went through, But in the physical, what determines you being sealed? It is the commandments and the laws and the feast days. And the Lamb has the 7 seals. He's opening right now, i.e., the coronavirus, pandemic, panic, right? If we go through the 7 seals, you will see that the Lord is opening these 7 seals. Okay? He's opening these 7 seals. And in him opening these 7 seals, and we can get that too. Watch this. And they sung a new song, verse 9. And they sung a new song, saying, Thou art worthy to take the book and to open the seals thereof, for thou wast slain and hast redeemed us to God by thy blood out of every kindred. He redeemed us by his blood, synonymous with Passover. The Passover lamb's blood is what protected us from that death angel. Yahweh Shai's blood is what is going to protect us from the present times now. If you are not sealed with the blood of Yahweh Shai, then you do not have a seal of protection over you. And what does that look like in the physical? It looks like keeping the commandments and keeping the feast days. If you wanted to know if somebody is sealed in the Lord, they're keeping the commandments and keeping the feast days. That's what it looks like in the physical. What does it look like in the spiritual? Yahweh Shai having that spiritual covering, and that Ezekiel 9 shows you and tells you. So now we have a physical representation of how you're sealed, and we have a spiritual representation of how you're sealed. This is why it is important and it is an imperative for you to keep these things correctly. Because now it says, God, by the blood of every kindred, redeemed us to God by thy blood out of every kindred and tongue and people and nation, right? And has made us unto our God kings and priests, and we shall reign on the earth. Now, watch this. Let's go to Revelations 13 and 8. Watch this. So this is very important, Israel. Please pay attention to this. Let's read Revelations 13 and 8. It says, and all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him, whose names are not written in the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundation of the world. Now, we're reading here dealing with the mark of the beast, or the beast, all those people that, let's read verse 7. And it was given unto him to make war with the saints and to overcome them. And power was given him over all kindreds and tongues and nations. And all that dwell upon the earth shall worship him. This is the beast, whose name are not written in the book of the life of the book of life of the Lamb slain from the foundations of the world. So what did we just read earlier? We just read, look at the connection here. Look at the precepts, how it's precepted. We just seen the Passover, how the blood seals us. Then we read Ezekiel. We see that in the spirit, the Lord is going to seal us. That's keeping, and this is a direct precept to that Ezekiel. He's going to seal those that are elected, right? Then after that, we see that under the commandments in the feast days are we sealed. But then we see in the spirit of the coronavirus where the spirit is trying to keep us from being sealed under these feasts and the commandments. Because if we do not keep these feasts, then we are not sealed under the blood. But we see that automatically those that are sealed from the foundations of the world, you're sealed with the blood of Mashiach. You're going to keep the feast days naturally. You're not going to let anything stop you from keeping the days of the Lord. You understand? This is the spirit of Passover right here. We had to flee. We had to eat in haste, and all of the whole nine. Coronavirus is trying, with all of this stuff that's going on with the government, is trying to get the elect to not be sealed in the commandments and in the law and in the blood of Yahweh Shai. Because all those that do these things are sealed in the book of life. So if you want to know if you got a good shot at going to the kingdom, that's why I said my full mission is the commandments. If you want to know if you got a good shot at making the kingdom, you got to try the spirit by the spirit. We know Romans 7:14, the law is spiritual. You got to go see if you keeping these feast days and keeping these laws correctly. And then from there, you'll be able to understand, okay, Khan, now I have a bigger understanding of if I'm in the right lining with the Lord. You understand? This is why this is very important. Okay. Now let's get one more. Let's get Ephesians 1 and 4. All right, family. Ephesians 1 and 4. Watch this. All right. So it says, according as he have chosen us in him before the foundation of the world, that we should be holy and without blame before him in love. How are we going to be holy and without blame before the Lord? By keeping the feast days, being sealed in the feast days. If you're just tuning in, please go back, watch the video because it's very important. To recap the whole video, basically, and I'll say this just for those that's just tuning in, there's a spirit going out right now with this whole coronavirus situation that, that is keeping brothers from being able to keep their Passover. Either two things. Either brothers kept Passover wrong, or brothers are not able to keep Passover due to the coronavirus. This is the spirit of the enemy, because we just read that the feast days is what gives us that shield of protection. Just like in the spirit of Passover, the blood of the lamb gave us that spirit of protection, right? Spiritually, that spirit of protection is the Mashiach Yahweh Shai. So if you do not keep the Passover, you do not keep these feast days according to the command, and you do not keep the commandments, right? Which we know that one. But really, I wanted you to understand that the feast days, you do not keep these, we are not sealed and we are not protected in these present times of calamity, right? So when you pray for protection, please understand there's an action that you have to do. But all the elect that are chosen from the foundations of the world, you will automatically know this information and automatically keep these things without hesitation. That's the whole point. That you are sealed from the beginning of the foundations of the earth. The Most High knows. I know they're going to keep the commandments in the present time, in the hectic time. I know they're going to keep it correctly. I know they're going to accept me as being the Savior. I know that. And they're sealed. If they have those three things, accept Yahweh Shai, keeping the commandments, and keeping the feast days correctly, then it's safe to say that you're in a safe position to make the kingdom, because those things are what keep you, right, from either keeping the getting the kingdom, or from not getting the kingdom. That's why it is important. Israel, we have to start to sit down and have these conversations. We have to put pride aside. This is a message to every Israelite leader. We have to put pride aside. We have to put envy aside. We have to put jealousy and all the fruits of the flesh. We have to put those things aside, and we have to start looking at the greater good of the nation of Israel. We have to put those things aside and start to have these conversations. And if it doesn't fit, we must acquit. If you forcing something to fit the scriptures, we got to just say, hey, look, man, the Star of David, you know what? I can't see it in the scriptures. I see you trying to fit it. Oh, it's a lily. Oh, it's the name of David. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's that. But I can see it clear cut in the scriptures like I can see the menorah. I can't see it clear cut in the scriptures like I can see the shofar. So with that being said, we got to kind of put it to the side. And until you can bring a script that is clear cut, we got to let it go. In these conversations, no matter what camp you in, forget that one West. Hold on. Okay, sorry. Connection lost a little bit. Forget that one West old way of thinking. I love one West, right? Those are my elders. But the way of thinking, not the keeping of the laws, the way of thinking, right? The way of it's only this and only me and this and that. No, we have to get rid of that old way. Our elders, they failed us in that because they were too prideful. The younger generation, we are the next generation that is going to be able to raise up the nation of Israel. That's why the scripture says we have to come as a child. It's up to us, younger generation, and our elders too. Those that have this spirit that are elders too, right? We have to start coming together and having those conversations. And I'm not saying we need to have one big camp, but we at least need to have it to where we're all on one accord and we can come together. Oh, well, we got to wait for Yahweh Shah to come do it. Nah, the kingdom is now. The scriptures say, take the kingdom. We have to start having those conversations and put pride down. Pride is the beginning of destruction. So with that being said, we have to put all pride away. And if you can't see it in the scriptures, just let it go. Just let it go, man. Let it go. Put the pride aside and let it go. To all you non-Masonics that might see this and you OT Israelites, I'm not talking about y'all though. I'm not talking about y'all. Y'all gonna be destroyed. Scripture says if they don't want to worship Yahweh Shai, bring them here and slay them. So I'm not talking about y'all. I'm talking about all those brothers that have a good heart, but might not be keeping things right. And even me, if we sit down and you show me and I can, oh, damn, I was wrong on that, then I got to correct myself. We got to start having these conversations, Israel, because it's time. The Most High, if we don't get it together, the Most High going to make us get it together. He going, like, all right, y'all not getting it together? I'm going to force y'all to get it together through tribulation. We don't want the Most High to do that anymore. We just want to do it. So this is what Believers of the Way, this is my mission with my camp, Believers of the Way, is to start to have these conversations. Brothers keeping Passover wrong, okay? Brothers keeping feast wrong. Brothers not keeping the law. Brothers having these different doctrines. We got to start having these conversations in love. And it's going to take multiple conversations. But nonetheless, do not let anything stop you guys from keeping the Passover. If you did not see this, if you did not see the live, go back and watch it. There is a spirit that is keeping us from trying to keep us from keeping the Passover, from being sealed in the Lord, because we are sealed by his feast, his commandments, and through Yahweh Shai. All right. I love Israel. Please subscribe, like, and share the video. This channel is for edification purposes. We will be coming with street teaching videos. All right. Street teaching videos will be up this Sabbath. We are hitting the streets. We are going street teaching, and we will have those videos back up. And we will continue to go live. And so just stay tuned. Definitely look at the spirit and the way things are moving right now. It's not time to be fearful, but it's time to organize and get yourself together. Keep Passover. It is very important because that is how you're sealed. Okay. Keep the commandments of the Most High, because that is how you are sealed. I love Israel. We're building this YouTube channel from the ground up. So please support. I love all of you guys. Please, if you got any questions or want me to address any breakdowns, please let me know. Comment, Also, too, I will be coming with a part 2. I did it on my old YouTube channel, but on my new YouTube channel, I will be coming with a part 2 of the 10 tribes being Latinos, and Native Americans. All right. So with that being said, please keep these feast days. Go back, watch the video, get edified. This is a warning to Israel. Do not let the coronavirus keep you from keeping the Lord's feast. All right. Do not let it do it, because this is a test. Okay. This is the spirit of Passover, right? He's trying to see who is his worthy ones. All right. So love Israel. Have a blessed day. Please take heed. Shalom, family.